Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. 2 weeks ago, Renault announced a efficiency and a range record for EV cars. They had a concept car that they're calling the Filante. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Filante or Filant. Um, and they achieved this on December 18th, 2025. What they wanted to do was they wanted to achieve a 1,000 kilometer range with the same battery pack that they use in one of their production cars without charging at highway speed. So basically, they had this car going about 100 kilometers per hour, which is about 62 miles per hour, which is close to highway speed. And they did achieve it, and they got an efficiency of 125 watt hours per mile. Okay, so why did they do this? And I wanted to kind of look at this car and discuss this car in relation to Aptera, because if you look at the car, it is extremely purpose built. It's a very small cockpit. It's extremely narrow. It has the wheel pants like the Aptera does, and if you see, it's very narrow in side to side. So it's not like the Aptera is wide and kind of squat. This one is very narrow, and you can tell that it to me, I didn't do any calculations, but it looks like the frontal area is going to be quite a bit smaller than the Aptera. And why did they call this and the Filant, and why did they want to do this? Well, the history behind this is in 1925, 1926. Well, they started this project in 1925. They were wanting to break the land speed records back then, and they had this car, and you can see this car looks very similar in kind of design language to this car. It's a single passenger vehicle. The cockpit's far in the back with a large hood, and it's very narrow from a side to side aspect with outrigger wheels. And they did break the land speed record. And then in 1956, they had this vehicle, which was also called the Filante or Filante. Someone tell me in the comments how to pronounce this French word correctly. And they put a gas turbine engine into this thing and took it to Bonneville Salt Flats and reached 300 kilometers per hour in this thing. So they thought for the 100-year anniversary of this vehicle, they would try to break another record. And they engaged an entire team to do so, and they were able to achieve it, but it was very, very close and very, very tight. There is a short web series on their YouTube page, which I thought pretty interesting. And if you're interested, you can check out the whole series. It's just a 3-episode series, but I wanted to kind of hit some excerpts from it and discuss it.
The holy trinity of this project is aerodynamics, tire resistance, and weight. So if one of these parameters is not right, we cannot make the record that we want to do. So weight was a big problem, and that made us think about how to make the car the lightest possible. The car is 1,050 kilos.
Okay, so that's similar to the current projected weight of the Aptera, of about 1,000 kilometers, which is about 2,200 pounds.
90 kilowatt battery pack is about 5.
So they have a battery pack that's more than double the size of the Aptera, which is going to hurt them because that weighs a lot. So their battery pack is 550 kilograms.
50 kilos. There's no new technology available that makes it lighter. Everything else, including the driver, has to fit into the 500 kilos or 450 kilos that is left.
Le poids est l'ennemi de la consommation, donc on a essayé d'utiliser différents matériaux, différentes techniques de fabrication pour alléger la voiture au maximum.
We had to count grams, not even kilos. In fact, our engineering team even cut the length of the screw so that we can save a few grams on every screw.
Okay, so that's the part that was crazy to me. So these people, okay, so this is a major automotive group. They set aside an entire team to do this. They tried every single weight saving. They even cut off the screws to save weight. And they are trying to get this record, and they achieved 125 watt hours per mile. Now, Aptera is trying to achieve 100 watt hours per mile, which is a significant increase from that. And I don't think Aptera is like cutting off the ends of the screws and stuff to achieve this. So I just kind of wanted to think and put that in perspective. That's kind of crazy, actually. All right, so here's the last episode. There's some excerpts from here.
La tentative de record du mois de septembre a été replanifiée à cause des aléas météo. On avait
So they planned to do it in September, but the weather conditions were terrible, and they're waiting for. So they want the perfect weather conditions, the perfect conditions to do the test, because they realize it's extremely difficult, and they need to optimize everything they can to achieve this record.
de la pluie et des vents très forts par bourrasque, donc on n'a pas pu faire le record prévu au centre technique d'Aubois initialement. On va refaire une tentative plus au sud, au Maroc, ce qui fait par contre qu'on l'a fait plus tard dans l'année, ça va être décembre, et c'est vraiment la dernière chance.
And now we are here in Morocco, quite far, but in the right place because the conditions are perfect. We have temperatures between 7 and 15 degrees, temperatures which are realistic for making this kind of record.
I mean, if you look at this, to me, it looks like a super high-tech Pine Box Derby car.
So yeah, today the idea is to do 1,000 kilometers in 10 hours, which means we will have an average speed of about 100 kilometers per hour, which itself is a record. We'll do this with 3 drivers, right? So we stop the car twice to change the drivers, and we never recharge the car. So we go with one full battery pack, 87 kilowatt, same size.
Okay, if you look at this kind of looks like the scenery from Flagstaff, which is the thing that Aptera did. So remember, Aptera did the Flagstaff. Now, the Flagstaff back to San Diego, they achieved a efficiency of 122 watt hours per mile, which is better than the 125 watt hours per mile that Renault achieved. Now, the caveat being Flagstaff to San Diego was a net downhill. But the other flip side of it is Flagstaff to San Diego, there's a net headwind usually in that direction, because there's usually a prevailing wind that's west to east. So the elevation change was helping them, but the headwind was hurting them. However, so it's not a perfect comparison. It's not a perfect test. So we don't know which one was the more important factor, the headwind or the net downhill. But they achieved a watt hour of 122, which is better than Renault achieved. And then if you remember in 2022, Mercedes-Benz had an EQS XX Vision concept car that achieved 1,000 kilometers of range as well. But that was with a bigger battery pack. And this one is a more conventional looking car. Looks very similar to the EQS that's in production by by Mercedes. That one achieved an efficiency of 167 watt hours per mile. So significantly higher. Renault is very close, but then look at what they had to do to achieve that number. To achieve that number, they had a very small single cockpit vehicle that, okay, yeah, let's look at this thing. It barely fits a person. There's no cargo space. It's extremely narrow in a side-to-side dimension. And it has these very narrow wheel pants. So what does Aptera have going for it and against it in comparison to this car? One, the battery pack is smaller, which helps it. But the overall weight is similar or about the same. The only major advantage I see of Aptera having is that it is a reverse trike tadpole design. So a single wheel in the back, which probably helps with rolling resistance, tire resistance a bit, and helps with aerodynamics a bit. But this one, I assume, is going to have a better overall wind resistance, because they don't say what the coefficient of drag of this car is, but I imagine it is quite good. probably on par with Aptera's coefficient of drag of 0.13, or that's what we are, we've been told. That has not been independently verified yet. But the frontal area of this is probably less than Aptera. So I think we have to look at this and think to yourself, can Aptera achieve 100 watt hours per mile? I think it's within the realm of possibility, because they did achieve 122, which is better than this. And that was with a heavier chassis, and not the full efficiency production chassis and drivetrain. So maybe there's a couple of percentage points of efficiency to eke out of that. But I think we have to understand that it's a tall order, because Renault did it. Renault is a huge multinational automotive conglomerate. They dedicated an entire team to do this. They used every single trick they could have to achieve this, including cutting off the ends of the screws. And they waited for perfect conditions, and they transported their car to Morocco to achieve these perfect conditions, and they hit 125. So I thought that this, when I heard about this and I looked into it, I just realized what a tremendous achievement 100 watt hours per mile would be if Aptera achieves it. I think that's a tall order, and I think they will get close. And I don't know if they're going to actually achieve 100 watt hours per mile, but I think if they even get close to it, it'll be a huge achievement. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. Had you heard about this before? And tell me if you think 100 watt hours per mile, is that a little bit too ambitious, or you think it's achievable?